I lifted my soul in unspeakable thankfulness and adoration as I realized the spirit was superior to matter. Even in its most subtle and rarefied forms, superior clouds to the glaring, seething, melting, white fire of the clouds when the lighting furnaces overflow with fervent heat. Safeties slowly, majestically, and holily passed through the terrible battlegrounds of the elements, and to the question eternally framed and put this answer was given by the illustrious being at my side. That you might practically realize the indestructible nature of the human being, that something of human majesty might appear to your understanding, that you may be shown somewhat of the dignity of being, and the royalty of things, elements, laws, and principles you have been, by me, brought hither. This is merely a first lesson, the mere alpha of knowledge, but others are far more important and yet to follow. Fear not. But this last injunction was utterly impossible for me, and would have been for any human being under the similar or analogous circumstances to obey or do. For what the dizzy sense of height and sensations attendant upon movement through space and the glare of the lightning, the elemental strife and the perfect obscuration of my dwelling place, the earth, together with the undefinable dread of something impending, and which I might have never been able to comprehend, all had the effect of almost pulsing every faculty of being, and blanched my very soul with fear. For the rush and crush, the horrible din of the tempest and thunder made terror my constant associate. It was as if the trial hour had come. It was like the breaking up of mighty mountains. It was as if a hungry earthquake were feeding on the world. Instinctively I looked at Thutmore for protection. He smiled at my weakness, and bade me to remember that greater than himself was present. Yes, I realized that God was there, and I was safe. For he smiled between his frowns and whispered, I am here! In those days, when I gave my soul and body up to the guidance and control of invisible beings whom I did not know, whom I did not stop to prove and identify, apocryphal persons at the best, persons disembodied, if indeed they ever wore clay upon the footstool, being who seeks their own amusement and at the expense of the human dupes, beings who take supreme pleasure and delight in the exhibition of human weakness, beings who silently but surely infuse the most deadly and destructive venom in the shape of philosophic assurances, beings who mock at our calamity and laugh when troubles come, both of which they themselves bring to pass. Beings who persuade people to believe in all sorts of inanities, dictate senseless platitudes, and encourage persons to believe themselves philosophers when they are only fools. I repeat, when in other days I yielded to this evil influence, in other days when both God and Thutmore were practically ignored and forgotten, in other days when the pride of the power of eloquence turned from the useful, and eloquence weird and almost magic, and welled up through my soul, and went forth from eye and tongue and pen, and drew my soul from God, there came occasional twinges of regret, and assurance that, in forgetting to profit by the teachings of that afternoon, I had bartered off priceless joys of empty bubble, worldly fame, and ephemeral glory, that for the hollow music of man's praises and few claps of the hand, I had given up the key to the magnificent temple, one of whose apartments I afternoon entered for the first time. Great God, how I have suffered for the foolish estrel, that fear lèse majesté, that silly vanity and supreme folly. We rose above the fierce turmoil, and for the first time a fair opportunity was presented for a closer scrutiny of my guide. As I drew nearer to him, he said, not in words, but in the silent language used by higher citizens of the Republic of Souls, all thoughts have shape. Some are sharp, acute, and angular, many pointed, and exceedingly rough. These cut and bore their way through the worlds. Others are flat and disc-like. These are thoughts that must be incarnated in matter ere they become useful. Their mission is to be seen, others to be felt. Some thoughts are light and fantastic, like bubbles on the sea. They are beautiful while the sun shines, but that very ray that reveals their beauty also seals their doom, for the heat kills them. They burst and forever disappear, being hollow and of but little substance. Other thoughts are round, heavy, and solid as a cannonball, and like them, too, their mission is to batter down the mounds erected by unwise men. Words are but garments of thoughts. Geometry is the soul of all sciences, order, symmetry, and form. Everything, line, point, shape, angle, and figure, correspond to something in both the spirit and the soul world. The outward and inward soul life, and independent of magnitude, absolute and arbitrary symbols, embodies an absolute and fixed principle, and every line, dot, point, shape, or angle has fixed definition and lexicon of the starry heavens. What a stupendous revelation is here! What an astounding idea! For if this statement be found in truth, or which there can be but little, if any, doubt, what ages must elapse ere we'll be fully able to read the myriad volumes of God's great libraries, the boundless universe of form, color, and sound?